Hey, Regina here. Do you want to travel more but don't have anyone to travel with, or just want to travel on your own for a change? Here's what I can share with you about solo travel. I have done this all my life. Well, at least for many decades, starting in my early 20s. Some of my first solo travels include a trip to Turkey and another one to the Dominican Republic, two countries that I did not speak the language of back then. I learned Spanish only later. I also traveled to England once for a few days to London, and at 26, I moved to Spain. That was my first move abroad. And there I went on a lot of shorter trips by myself, also day trips. But I love to travel and to explore, right? So later then in Spain, I started traveling for business, mostly to Lisbon, but also other parts of Portugal and Spain occasionally. Mostly it was Lisbon though. Later, I traveled alone a lot, like to Brazil, France, the Netherlands, Italy, Belize, South Africa, Ghana, Cameroon, Chile, Uganda, Argentina, Qatar, Sweden, Rwanda, Colombia, Tanzania, several different states in the US, and I probably forgot a few destinations that I visited by myself, right? Because it's a really long list. And I mean, with no one, no friends, no colleagues, nobody that would go with me. All right. It's not rocket science, but I do recommend that you do some research on the place you travel to. I think that's quite obvious, right? Traveling to Austria is different from traveling to Cuba or Benin or Saudi Arabia. It's also helpful to know at least some basic vocabulary. So if you've been wanting to travel solo, then just go. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect travel buddy. But here are a few basics to make it smoother for you. Okay. First of all, of course, know the visa and entry rules. Without a visa, you will just not get into a country. Some places require a visa in advance. Others give you one on arrival. In most cases, you can do that nowadays online, though. Everything you need to do online or upon arrival. Check before you book. And don't get your visa on some shady website that charges you a lot of money. Really make sure it's the right one. It's the official website. Okay? There are also services, and they are usually, if somebody helps you get your visa, then there is an extra charge for that, but you don't really need that because most countries don't make it too difficult. Second, have a plan, but stay flexible. Maybe you want to know where you're staying your first night or even your first week, depending on how much travel experience you have on your own and where you go. And yes, and where and how easy it is to find something really quick in that location, right? But also at the same time, leave room for unexpected opportunities. I often use Airbnb, but they are not everywhere. And I also look at their cancellation policies because sometimes plans change, right? Of course, you could always look for a hotel or a guest house when there's no Airbnb, or if you prefer that. Of course, yes, there are also hostels. There are many other options. Bed and breakfast. I used to own a bed and breakfast in Argentina in the past. Great option. And when I went to Belize, I lived in San Francisco then, I didn't book anything. I had a week. I booked a flight to Belize City, that yes, because I needed to get there somehow. And then I just took a taxi to the bus station and a bus down the coast, the next bus that was leaving down the coast. I was the only tourist on that bus. And I hopped off at some Garifuna village that I had looked up before, and I stayed a night there or two. And then I took another bus a bit further down to a larger village where I stayed the rest of the time because I wanted to go diving and punta dancing. And I then also had a few excursions from there sorry, that was my phone telling me I was supposed to get ready for my next meeting, but I still have a few minutes, so I'm going to finish this off. So yes, I took the bus back up once my time was up, right? And to the airport and flew back to San Francisco. And at that village, though, I found a lovely hut on the beach. But when I noticed I was the only occupant for the three huts that were there were only three huts. After a couple of nights, I chose to move into the village instead and give up my beautiful hut on the beach because it felt a bit spooky all by myself on the beach after dark. So just adapt as you feel a need. I usually in my business, in my career and leadership coaching, in my coaching in general, I would never recommend you blend in your career, right? Like in a business context, you don't want to do that. I'd always recommend that it's a better idea to stand out. But while traveling, blending in sometimes can be beneficial. So showing up more, a little bit closer to a local, even if it's obvious that you might be a tourist, but the more you blend in, sometimes that increases your safety, depending on where you are again, especially in areas where you might feel at risk. Tourists are always easily spotted because we move differently than when we live somewhere. We behave differently. We don't know our way around, so we explore, right? Having said that, it does help to learn a few words in the local language, as I mentioned earlier, and avoid drawing unnecessary attention if you don't want it and when you don't want it. Okay? So stay aware, but not afraid. Trust your instincts, stay alert, and don't make fear-based decisions. Confidence keeps you safer than paranoia or panic. And fear may hold you back from meeting lovely people and from awesome experiences and adventures. So always use your intuition, listen to your intuition. And then, of course, enjoy it. Solo travel gives you ultimate freedom. You can do whatever you want during your travel. You get to decide everything, and that's a gift. Also, when you travel with a smile on your face, things just get easier, especially when it comes to asking for directions or for getting paperwork done, or finding the best places to stay, to eat, and whatnot, getting advice from local people or other travelers, right? So, where will you go first? Let me know in the comments.